Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at the weather next week to 10 days for today's video. And that's going to take us to around the 7th of July. We'll be able to extend out beyond that, the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. They run around a couple of weeks. I'll have a look at Beijing climate change the next 40 days as well. That takes into the start of August, can you believe? So into towards the latter part of the summer. Well, we've got hot weather coming up over the next few days. We're still trying to work out how hot it's going to get. So that's where we're going to start off with today's video. So this is the high resolution arpège model from weatheroutlook.com. You remember yesterday arpège was forecasting temperatures to possibly reach a maximum of 34 degrees in southeast on sunny afternoon. Let's see how hot it's going this afternoon. So these are this afternoon. Let's see how hot it's going for today's arpège run. These are the afternoon temperatures that it's coming up with maximum temperatures for this afternoon. So kind of like low 20s for many of us. 25 possible across some of these southern coastal counties. That's around 77 Fahrenheit, also around southwest parts of Scotland, going for around 27 degrees. Let's run through tonight. It's rather a chilly night coming up. Into tomorrow, it's a hotter day tomorrow. Maximum temperatures are kind of like, again, around this southern part of the country just here, around 27, 28, possibly up to around 30 across the northwest of England, borders of England to Scotland, somewhere like that perhaps, going to around 30 degrees then. As we go through into Saturday, this is the peak of the heat. Let's see how hot it's going on Saturday. So we're up to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's taking us up to 32, 33. So that's around 92 Fahrenheit if we run on another hour. It looks like that's the maximum now. So it's going for a maximum of 33. It has edged that back around a degree for Saturday afternoon. So 32, 33 is the maximum that arpège is going for on Saturday afternoon in this southeast corner. Also very hot across the east of Scotland, up to around 30 degrees there. It's going to be a hot afternoon on Saturday afternoon across much of the country. The question is just how hot will it get. It looks like at the moment arpège wants us to get to around 32 or 33 degrees. So it's edged back by a degree compared to yesterday. Obviously we'll keep a close eye on that in the next day or so. Arctic oscillation observed and forecast chart. So black line shows where we've been with the AO. The red line's at the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the AO to go. Remember, this is just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state. It's not driving anything. It just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. So, been in a prolonged negative phase of the Arctic oscillation. Yes, there have been a few days where we've gone slightly positive, such as there and there. But overall, since around early April, we've been in a negative phase of the AO. That's where we are right now, still negative with the Arctic oscillation. And it looks like GFS ensembles want to take the Arctic oscillation close to sort of neutral conditions, really, by the time we get through to the first week of July. Then possibly signs that the AO is going to go more negative again as we go beyond that. Now, that's within the extended range of the GFS and its ensembles, so it's unreliable. But it does look as though the AO may be going or staying quite negative, really, through the first couple of weeks of July. I mean, there's no sign of particularly positive AO conditions, let's put it that way. It's either neutral or negative, really, with the Arctic oscillation, which tells us we're going to keep appreciable levels of blocking going over the pole through the first half of July, probably. NAO looks like this. Again, the black line showing where we've been with the NAO. Red lines at the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the NAO to go. Been in a prolonged negative phase of the AO. The NAO, I should say. The NAO has been negative since late April, constantly. It hasn't been positive since the latter part of April. That's where we are right now. Still negative with the NAO. GFS ensembles forecast that certainly for next week, the NAO is going to stay negative. Then we get a little bit of scattering. I've got a few ensemble members going positive, but several are staying negative. So it's not convincing. It looks as though we're going to keep the AO and the NAO in negative territory, certainly for the first week to 10 days of July. I wouldn't be overly surprised if it went on even beyond that. And not really a surprise, certainly in terms of the AO, when we look at the 500 millibar height anomaly flow chart from the Penn State University from the ECMWF. So we've got the ECMWF here on the top, but we haven't got the GFS on the bottom. It's missing again today, so we can't compare the two. But certainly we've got the ECM here on the top, and these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts for the next 7 to 10 days time. So it takes us to around the 7th of July. And you see all of this red that we've got going on up here, that's blocking, continuing over the North Pole. And so obviously with high pressure up there, you would expect the AO certainly to be continuing in its negative phase. For us, actually got these blue colours, which is below average heights, that's low pressure, sitting to our north. It looks like we're bringing in a flat sort of westerly flow, so looking quite unsettled actually in the 7 to 10 day time frame with the ECM today. Looks like we're bringing in westerlies there as we get through into the second week of July. Upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles look like this. We're looking at Norwich today. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Norwich. Obviously, we're warmer than average at the moment, and it's going to get warmer and warmer over the next couple of days. Our peak in terms of the upper air temperatures is now above 20 Celsius at 858, which is exceptionally hot. That is an exceptionally hot upper air temperature. And normally you will think that that sort of level of heat in terms of the upper air temperature will get you to at least 35 degrees, 95 Fahrenheit down on the surface in normal summer conditions. So even with the arpege model that we started the video off with, which is going for a maximum kind of like 32, 33 on Saturday afternoon, given how hot the upper air temperature is, even that is pretty modest, to be honest. And you would probably expect temperature to be 35, 36 normally with that kind of upper air temperature. So if you don't like the heat, it looks like we're going to get away with this a little bit compared to how hot it is in the upper air. Now, very quickly after that peak of the heat, the temperature is dropping, it's falling away. So as we go through into next week, we're going below average, cooler than average temperature anomalies then, or temperature ensembles, I should say. Then, and after that, it looks like we just keep the upper air temperatures very close to average, really, as we're going out towards the second week of July. Dates on the bottom of the chart, of course. So as we get into the second week of July, looks like we keep those ensembles very close to average, really. Precipitation-wise, a lot of dry weather coming up over the next week, 10 days. Barely any precipitation spikes for Norwich. Very, very dry conditions too. Possibly a little bit more unsettled late on, but it's a very extended range stuff that is unreliable with the GFS and its ensemble. It looks pretty dry but cooler through the course of next week, and then maybe going a bit more unsettled after that, we shall see. Temperature anomalies from the 27th of June to the 5th of July, coming out a little bit cooler than average. Really, basically it's average, but it's slightly below average for England and Wales anyway, which, given that ensemble with such a high upper air temperature, is quite remarkable. The disparity between what's happening in the upper atmosphere with the temperature and what's happening down on the surface with the temperature. It's more like the kind of thing you get in the middle of winter when you get inversions going, so it could be warm aloft but down on the surface because the heat radiates out into space very quickly. You can get it cold and frosty and foggy on the surface, but that's the kind of thing that happens in winter. Very, very unusual to see this sort of disparity between the upper atmosphere and the surface in high summer. So anyway, temperature anomaly is very close to, or possibly even a little bit below average in weekend. and looking very dry as well, particularly so for England and Wales. This RVGFS is looking for sunny, so on sunny we're clearing away that hot air from the east, as the upper air temperatures anyway, getting rid of that, and we're going into a cooler, fresher west-northwesterly flow on Sunday. Monday we actually tilt wind into the north a little bit, so it'll be a very cool day up across the north on Monday. A very cool start to July. But after that, we begin to ridge a high pressure back in from off the Atlantic. So by the time we get through to the middle of next week, we're under that ridge of high pressure. It's not going to be particularly warm. Temperatures will probably be quite cool, certainly at night, and by day, probably no better than average. But under light winds and sunny spells, it won't feel too bad in the day. That's Thursday again under that nice ridge of high pressure. That's Friday, high pressure still dominating, but maybe a little bit showering across the north and the northeast of Scotland. Heading up towards day 10, the high pressure just begins to pull out to west of us, starting to allow a bit more of a northerly. That could bring showers to more northern and eastern parts of the country, and relatively cool temperatures too, because you see where the air is originating from, it's up here, it's moving southwards, so cool and dry, I suppose, as we're going up towards day 10 with the GFS. Beyond that, we start to pull that high pressure a little bit further away from us, which allows more of an influence from low pressure up to the north. So certainly for northern parts of the country, second week of July begins to turn rather showery. For England and Wales, we're probably still under a ridge of high pressure, so a fair amount of dry weather even into the second week of July with that down in the south. But again, temperatures all the time would not be particularly exciting, rather modest temperatures overall, and probably, if anything, quite chilly at night. GEM looking like this. So again, we're pushing out the heat on Sunday, turning wind into west-northwest. By the time you get through to Monday, we're certainly in a much cooler, fresher northwesterly flow. Winds tilting to the north on Tuesday, so very cool on Tuesday. Wednesday sees a ridge of high pressure building in from off the Atlantic. So again, this middle part of the week looking quite nice. We're under a ridge of high pressure Wednesday, Thursday. There'll be plenty of dry weather, sunny spells. Temperatures won't be especially exciting, but in the sunshine will feel quite pleasant. Then the high pressure begins to weaken as we head up towards day 10. Low pressure starting to move in from the North Atlantic. So by the time we get through to day 10, we're actually looking rather cool and showery, particularly so again for northern parts of the country. ECM is like that, so pushing out the heat on Sunday, turning wind into west-northwest. Monday, tilting wind into the north, and then on Tuesday and through to Wednesday, there's that nice extension from the Azores high, giving us a mainly dry and very pleasant middle part of the week. By the time you get through to the end of next week, though, that high pressure is pulling away and allowing the low pressure in from the northwest. It's turning rather showery across most parts of the country. And in the extended range, the ECM does look really quite unsettled, actually. We saw it on the height anomaly flow chart. We've got some northern blocking coming back up to the north with high pressure around Greenland. And we're starting to run in low pressure underneath it. So the ECM is actually the most unsettled of all the models at day 10. The Sunday, the 7th of July today. It does look quite unsettled and cool with low pressure heading in from off the Atlantic. Let's see how that works out within the ECM ensembles, though. How much support it has. So these are the options that we've got on the table for day 10, which is the 7th of July, from the ECM ensembles via the Icelandic Met Office. We have got 12 members of the ECM ensembles with above average heights up towards Greenland, below average heights to the north of Scotland, up towards Scandinavia and in the Atlantic. They're probably rather cool and showery. There's another 12 that have high pressure centred over the top of the country. That's a much drier and also warmer option with that high pressure over the top of the country. And then there's 9 with high pressure over just a little bit to our south. So again, that's a pretty decent option. Low pressure's up to the north of Scotland. Could be a bit showery and cool for Scotland, but otherwise a lot of dry, fine weather on offer with those 9. There's 8, which includes the ECM operational and control run. The operational run being the run that we're just looking at, that is unsettled at day 10. We saw that on the chart we're just looking at from the ECM operational run. Low pressure is in control with that. But it's only 8 of those doing that, although it does also include the ECM control run. There's 6 that have high pressure out to our west. low pressure to our east. So they're quite cool with sort of north-northwesterly winds, probably fairly dry away from the far northeast. And then there's 4 with northern blocking. High pressure is up here and low pressure is to the south there, bringing in more of an easterly flow. Could be a little bit thundery perhaps with those ones down in the south. So I've got a lot of options on the table at day 10. A lot of possibilities there. We can say that the solution that the ECM operation will run this particular scenario that we have at day 10, which is particularly cool and unsettled, isn't all that well supported by the ECM ensembles. But with so many options on the table, I think there is a lot of uncertainty now about this 10-day period. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This takes us to the 12th of July. We've got 22 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure, below average heights to the east, above average heights, high pressure to west-northwest. They look quite cool, showery. 17 with above average heights out to the northwest. That's a drier option, but it's not particularly warm. It will be bringing in the wind from the northeasterly direction. And then these 12 here, which does include the ECM control run, they're the best option, I think, because they have high pressures more or less centred over the top of the country, a little bit to west, but more or less over the top. They're pushing the jet stream north, so that would certainly be the warmest and driest option on the table, but only 12 of those as we're heading to the 12th of July. Finally, let's just have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre. So these are 500 millibar heights. They're broken down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period is going to take us from the 26th of June to the 5th of July. Coming 10-day period has above average heights over and to the west of the country, below average heights up to the north. Reasonable amount of dry weather on offer, but it's not particularly warm. After that initial push of heat up to Saturday, it starts to cool down with the wind coming in from the northwest, but probably fairly dry because we are close to a ridge of high pressure. Now, the next 10-day period doesn't look particularly exciting. This is the 6th to the 15th of July. If anything, low pressure is in control of this. Below average heights out to the west-northwest. Looks rather flat, bringing in a westerly flow. So that will be rather cool and unsettled. And then this goes on into the next 10-day period, I'm afraid, which is the 16th to the 25th of July. Again, below average heights around Greenland, Iceland. Have got some above average heights to our south. So that could bring up some warmer air at times from the south or southwest, but overall it still looks rather changeable, I have to say. Rather showery, especially for the northwest. And no real change for the final 10-day period. This day's 31 to 40. It's the 26th of July to the 4th of August. So we are going into the final month of the summer there. And it still looks rather unsettled with below average heights to the north-northwest. Above average heights are down to our south-southwest, bringing in the flow like that. So it could be some warm temperatures at times in the south, but overall it looks rather mixed, rather changeable, rather showery, even as we're going into the start of August. So obviously that's highly experimental and it's unreliable, so it's not worth being overly concerned about. But if I know we're going to get some warmer weather in the next couple of days, but if this summer is really going to get going, I think we're going to have to start seeing signs of it quite shortly now. So certainly there's no sign of anything particularly summery with the Beijing Climate Centre up to the beginning of August. There might be the odd day here and there, but warm and dry. But overall, that does look rather showery, rather cool. So just have to see how it goes. And the shorter range as well, I mean, it's suggesting high pressure, certainly around the middle part of next week, should be quite pleasant, but no sign of sustained summer weather really in the shorter range. If anything, could be hinting at going a bit more unsettled into the second week of July, which would, of course, tie in what Beijing Climate Centre is showing too. So we shall see how things pan out. And certainly I've got a couple of very warm, hot days coming up tomorrow and particularly Saturday. Could Saturday turn out to be the hottest day of the summer? That would be quite unusual for that to happen in June. But who knows? The weather's always looking for ways to surprise us. Well, that's it for your week 10 update for today. Tomorrow, we're going to have a very busy day. We've got the JMA Friday coming up, of course. Your month ahead, log ahead, as always, on a Friday. We've also got a week 10 video update, and we'll have this month's ENSO update tomorrow evening as well. And loads of updates over the weekend, including on Sunday, the winter 2019-2020 NAO forecast. Really, really big update released on Sunday. I know you were waiting for that one. And in the evening, on Sunday evening, or Sunday afternoon, I suppose, this time of year, 5 o'clock, I'm going to have a live chat on my YouTube channel where I'll be taking your questions about that NAO forecast for the winter. So we'll have a bit of a chat about it at 5 o'clock on Sunday evening on the YouTube channel. If you would like to be involved in that, then subscribe to the Gaz Weathers YouTube channel. All right, that's all for now, though, and thanks for watching.